Hello and welcome back to Let's Do Garage Gym Reviews. Today we have the Thor Kettlebells by Tribe WOD. I just like to call them Thor hammers because it's a hammer. We're going to be diving into all the different things you could do with them and such. I know it's a review, but I'm just going to say right off the bat, I love them. Can't recommend them enough. They're great. We got every weight ranging from 15 up to 70. I'll show them all off here in a minute. I got them lined up nicely. Oh yeah, and here they are. See, we got the 15s up front, and then we got the 25s, the 30s, and then going back down, we got 45s. We got 50s. The 45s and the 50s are very near the same size. That's why you see the height so similar. And then we got the 70s right here. Now, God, I'm a little winded because it's hot and I'm wearing a mask. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, the 50 and the 70 pairs look a little different. Well, fun little tidbit, you see, I actually pre-ordered these. The 15s and the 45s were released at a later date than the first set, which was 25s, 35s, 55s, and 70s. The 70s and the 55s, you could not order as a pair, you could only order as singles, so we ordered two single variations, so, we just ordered them twice. And when we first ordered them, we got a message back saying that there was going to be a delay due to the coating on the first batch of hammers being kind of whack. It was slippery, they said. And you could see that because they actually sent us some hammers that had the first set of coating, and they were pretty garbage. You could see I ground this down with some sandpaper to make it a little more usable. But the new coating on all the hammers that you'll get from them now, because I don't think they really meant to send these out. It just kind of happened, and I didn't bother complaining because I thought it was cool that I had, like, special hammer. Nobody else has a Thor hammer like my Thor hammer. And so, we got a little neat tidbit. Little neat tidbit for anybody who hasn't heard about the release of these. So now that I've talked about these a little bit and my experience with them, you may think, it's 2023. If you pre-ordered them, you've probably had these for a while. And you're right, I have had these for a while. I wanted to make sure I got some good training in using them before I gave my review. Because, I liked them right off the bat, but I wanted to, experiment using them for different exercises. Because pretty much any exercise you can do with a dumbbell or a kettlebell, you can use these for. And even though you can do it, it doesn't necessarily mean that you should. Some exercises are just better to use dumbbells for. Some exercises are just better to use kettlebells for. But these bad boys, there's a few things I really like doing with these. And that's what we're here to talk about. I'm going to be showing off some of my favorite exercises. We basically have already done the review. The review is I love them. If you were going to buy these for your home gym, I wouldn't say they replace a set of dumbbells. Dumbbells are always going to be some of the most essential items you can have in a home gym. But if you don't own any kettlebells yet, I would just get these instead of kettlebells. And then if there's some kettlebell exercises you find, kind of suck to do with the hammer, just buy a few kettlebells then, after you have some of these. Because, there's some exercises that are just so nice to do with these because it's a vertical handle, and then you got all the leverage from weight being on one end. It's just very nice. But enough talking about it, let's start showing. Now, one of my favorite exercises to do with these is usually I see it called a shield cast or a gamma cast. Pretty much people will take a club bell, an Indian club, a mace bell, a sledgehammer, pretty much just anything that's shaped like this. And they'll just move it around their head. It's a very nice shoulder exercise. Also gets your triceps working pretty good, kind of like if you were doing an overhead tricep extension, which we'll talk a little more about in a second. Now, of course, there's a lot of different hammers. I find that the most I could do one-handed is about the 35 if I grip it near the head. Which is a bit of a shame because it's not like in between weights. It jumps from 15, 25, 35. And with dumbbells, those jumps aren't too big. But when the weight's all the way on the end, you feel it. It's a pretty big jump, especially when you're doing one-handed exercises. It's very nice, very fun to do. It's an exercise you can't normally do. You know, sometimes you'll see people go the other way, but it's a little funky when you try and get it back up, doing it one-handed in this direction. So I pretty much just always train them going this way. And going back to those tricep extensions that I was talking about, because all the weight's on one end, there's a few different ways you could do exercises that you couldn't normally do with dumbbells. Opens up the door for a lot of variations. Because like you saw me, I held the weight on the end like this. But then if I wanted, I could just switch that up, have all the weight on the top now. And you know, now it's working my arm differently. And now if I was doing like say a skull crusher, I'd need to lie on my back for this, so I won't. So I'll just demonstrate it with bicep curls. With bicep curls, you can do them 4 ways. Yeah, you can do it like this with the weight on the bottom. Do it like this with the weight on the top, which is much harder. That's why I'm grabbing near the head, so there's less leverage. If I grab near the end, I could not do the rep. And then you could also have the hammer on the side. And this is very challenging, especially if you use the heavier ones. And especially if you grip like near the end. Like I cannot do the rep if I grab near the end. In addition to that, you could do things where you twist as you do the rep. So I'll start like this. As I go up, I'll twist. And that's very nice to do. Because again, you're working muscles that wouldn't normally get worked if you were just doing these with dumbbells. Of course, most of those muscles are in your forearm, but the forearm's a very important thing to work. You know, grip strength's important. Woo, I'm sweating. It is hot out today. Going back to those gamma casts. Let's get a heavier hammer for this. Got the 55. You do these one-handed, and I'm sure, or not one-handed, you can do these two-handed as well. And it's kind of like, I'm sure you've seen people hold a weight plate or a kettlebell and they bring them all the way around their head. It's just like doing that exercise, but more challenging because it's with a hammer. More fun too, I'd say. Ugh. And of course, you know, you can do two-hand tricep extension, switch which hand's on top, changes it up a little bit. Just having fun here. In addition to that, there's also some full body exercises and leg exercises you can do, such as the kettlebell swing. But instead of kettlebells, you're using a hammer. Much more fun. Woo! Need the 25s for this. There's a couple ways you can do swings with these. You can either hold a pair on the outside of your legs. It's kind of like being a skier. And because these are hammers, you really feel the momentum from them. And of course, bring them between your legs, hits you a little different. But man, but octile, what if I don't want to hold 2 hammers? Well, then you can just use one heavy one for the middle swing. Now there's one more variation that's very close to the swing, but it's a little forbidden. Just a wee bit forbidden. If you go on the TribeWOD site, you will actually see it says not to use these for tire slams. However, I ignored that and used them for tire slams and found no issues. Alright. Got these moved over here. So again, you're not supposed to do these. You know, it could damage the hander. I don't recommend them. I'm just saying I've had no issues doing them. And I enjoy doing these a bit more than doing just the kettlebell swings with them. Got my Viking press handle in the background. Yeah, so you just do the swing. Slip. I mean, you get the idea. I'm just going to demonstrate real quick that even with the 70, there are no issues doing this. Woo! Hit the bouncy part. Again, you get the idea. Now there's another exercise that utilizes that swing that I just adore. Everybody's probably familiar with burpees. You've probably heard about burpees at one point or another. Well, I'm sure you also know that there's a lot of burpee variations. People like to make burpee variations. A real popular one is using dumbbells. Now you go down, you do a push-up, you stand up, you curl the dumbbell, then you overhead press it, and then you do another burpee. Now doing these with the hammers is a lot of fun. So I got a pair of 25s here. I'll get down. Another thing I like is because you're doing push-up like on a handle. Do your push-up, jump up, you swing, then you overhead press it. I think it's, you know, you can choose what way your grip is, which changes everything. I mean, these will kick your ass. These really will. I mean, you could just keep going heavier. Took me a moment to find the 35s, but here they are. You can also add a row in there. Possibilities are endless. It's like I said, any exercise you can do with dumbbells. You can do with these. It's just a matter of if it's a good fit. Woo! I gotta say, talking and going from exercise to exercise is a little draining. The last thing I probably have to show before my hands get too sweaty to be able to hold on to these anymore is just the fact that you can use these for farmer walks and just weighted holds. Because it's a vertical handle and there's nothing on the end, your hand will slip off as your grip tires out. So I mean, you can just stand here holding these and you're working your grip. Or, you know, you can go for, ooh, see what I talked about my hands being sweaty? You can go for a little walk if you want, a little farmer's walk. Whew. But aside from that, we've covered pretty much all the grip stuff you can do with these, with, you know, the different, whew. As I was saying, we pretty much have covered just about everything you could do with these for your grip. You know, you can do all your exercises with the dumbbells, but just change the way you're holding the hammer. You know, hit your forearm in different ways. You know, the pronation, supination, ulnar, and radial. You know, those 4 different dimensions that your wrist and forearm are able to move in. And then there's just, you know, holding them. You know, holding the weight. It's a vertical handle, which is something most people don't get to train with very often. Because, like, even if you hold the dumbbell like that, you can't slip out of your hand. You got this head up here. If the hammers, you don't have that. Whole different world. I guess for some closing statements, some exercises I wouldn't recommend this for is basically any exercise where you need to use heavy weight. Like, you can use 70-pound dumbbells and kettlebells for quite a few exercises. The 70-pound hammer, however, is pretty unruly. You're going to have a hard time bench pressing with 70-pound hammers. You're going to have a hard time doing windmills with 50-pound hammers. If you don't know what a windmill is, I'll just grab a dumbbell real quick, because where you stand like this, and you got to reach down, that'll be hard with this. Or not with this, but that'll be hard with this. Holding this up like that with the weight hanging off the side would be very difficult. Now, of course, you could be like, you can like Statue of Liberty it, where you just hold it like so, straight up. But again, very hard to do with a heavy weight. Which is why I would not recommend these for necessarily every exercise. But if you got some bicep or tricep exercises you're doing, and you think your forearms are up to the task, you can use the hammers instead. Which is where I think they really shine, is building grip strength. Just a little closing statement, I feel like we've talked about everything there is to talk about. I mean, there's only so much to say, I could be here all day showing exercises you can do with them, but like I said, anything you can do with a dumbbell or kettlebell, you can use these. It's just a matter of whether it's a good idea or not, whether it's something you want to do. Well, this has been Let's Do Garage Gym Reviews starring the Thor Kettlebell hammers. I will see everybody in the next thing I decide to review.